Hello, everyone. Hey, good evening, and welcome to another episode of The Front tonight. It's Wednesday night, which means we're going to have another live leadership lesson. Couple quick reminders for motivational tips to increase your influence and level up your leadership. Make sure you check out my website at leadtheteam.net for all of those things. Also, make sure you check out leadtheteam.tv for the same on videos, podcasts. That goes right to the YouTube channel. So we are going to get started with my friend Lisa Copeland right after this.
Thanks for tuning in to Lead the Teams, The Front.
Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification so that you're the first to know about new episodes, uploads, and when I go live. Yes, that's right. And speaking of going live, we're live right now. On my left, I've got it right, is Miss Lisa Copeland, CEO of Cars Her Way. Lisa, thank you so much for taking the time time out of your evening tonight to join me and share a live leadership lesson with the viewers.
Thanks, Mike, thanks for the invite.
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, if there are people that are maybe new to you, if they're new to Lisa, some of the subscribers of this channel, some of the viewers and so forth, if you wouldn't mind, just take 2 or 3 minutes, maybe kind of give a little bit of your business background, who you are, as much as you do or don't want to share. I'd love for you to introduce yourself a little bit.
Well, thank you. So my name's Lisa Copeland, and I am the CEO of Cars Her Way. We are a digital technology agency that we specialize in helping auto manufacturers, auto dealers, in procuring the female consumer. So that I do that. I'm about to do a show on Fox starting in January, a car show in 25 markets following Joel Osteen on Sundays. Another TV show in Canada called Car Sharks on the History Station. I'm a speaker and I'm an author. So I do a lot of things. I have a lot of side hustles.
You do have a lot of side hustles. Sorry, I was trying to figure out my new little buttons here. I got all kinds of cool stuff. It's like I'm in the office in Florida, which I'm not really. But so, yeah, one of the things that I saw, you were just on Fox 2 days ago, 3 days ago?
Yes.
And
Yes.
what was the discussion like there? You were certainly, I think they were bringing you on as an expert. You are an expert. And so what was that about?
We were discussing Mary Barra and the 15,000 layoffs at General Motors, and potentially what that looks like to the U.S. economy.
Yeah. So congratulations on that. I think that was really, that's awesome to have that level of acknowledgement and have them bring you on the show like that. So as we get into today, so with all of the different things that you do, speaker, author, influencer, super powered businesswoman, what if you had to narrow it down to like one thing, 1 or 2 things that if someone was to ask, they said, hey, what is Lisa Copeland all about? What do you think that one thing would be?
Lisa is all about influencing others and sharing knowledge and creating community, and that's what I've done. I have several groups that I've started that I'm very passionate about creating community of business leaders, not just in the automotive industry, but truly a social network, which is much different than social media. Social media is where we go on and we share what we ate for dinner. Social network
Right.
is where we go in, we network, and we support each other and do business with each other.
Yeah, and I'm in at least one of your groups on Facebook, the Big Sellers group. I'll give that the plug there. And it is awesome because it is something that you do a very good job of nurturing an environment where people are sharing things that maybe they aren't somewhere else. You know, I think that's really good. So let me ask you, as we're talking about leadership, and I'm going to dive right into this, what are maybe 2 or 3 specific characteristics that you, Lisa Copeland, because you're in all these different verticals, you're in all these different places, what are 2 or 3 characteristics that you would pick out and say, you know what, this is what I would say defines a leader. This is what makes not just a good, but a great leader.
Wow. Okay. I love the book that Leaders Eat Last. I believe that to be a leader, you have to have people that want to follow you. And the only way you can do that is to not be a boss, is not to be a bully, but to be somebody who really roots for and supports their organization, which I feel like that was my superpower at the time I was running a dealership. And my dealerships is that I really rooted for my employees. And I've just seen many in the automotive industry, especially, I've seen many dealer principals, and they're bullies. And I don't think that makes for a great leader. It might make a boss, but it doesn't make a great leader.
No, I would agree with that. Certainly. What would you say is somebody that, as you were coming up in the business, because it is something still, at least in my opinion, and correct me if I'm wrong, certainly women are still a bit of a minority in the auto industry. Do you agree with that? Yes? No?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. I'm trying to go a fine line there, but so as you're coming up in the auto industry as a very strong and amazing woman in the auto industry, your background in automotive, you were a Fiat dealer, right? You said that at the beginning, yes?
Yes, yeah, Fiat Alfa Romeo.
And you were the Fiat dealer, like you were the number one, correct?
Correct.
So who are some people that getting into that position, because it's a unique position, one, to be a woman in the auto industry, then also to be a dealer, a female dealer in the auto industry, a dealer principal, and then also to be a Fiat dealer. Those are all kind of three unique pieces. Who are some people that really had some tremendous impact and some influence on you coming up in automotive?
Well, probably in the last 5 years, it was Fiat Chrysler Automobiles. It was FCA. It was the team that in Detroit. I had the honor of meeting Mr. Marchione, him coming to my dealership after my team broke the world record. That's awesome. And yes, I was so proud of him. And then being appointed to the National Dealer Council, and so I was able to work with the 18 best dealers for FCA in the United States. And they were wonderful, and they taught me so much. And then all of the executives at FCA, which is Fiat Chrysler Automobiles, they were all very, very good to me, and I'm forever grateful. So I have a very soft place in my heart for the Fiat brand. I always will, and for all the executives in Detroit who keep the wheels on the bus.
I hear that. So how did you move on from Fiat? You chose to sell your dealership. What
Yes.
was it that transitioned you forwarded to where you are at now?
Well, so people say all the time, "Why'd you sell?" And I say because I had a buyer. So,
everything's for sale, right?
Everything's for sale, right? And so that was in March of 2016, and I said it was actually March 16th of 2016, and it's a day forever burned in my brain because it was the day I got my life back. And so, but I had a game plan knowing I was going to transition out. And so I knew that, I had been picked up by a couple of agents in New York, which was great. I'd been speaking pretty heavily on the automotive circuit. And so I had a lot of film from it. So I caught the eye of a couple agents in New York. And so, having agents makes all the difference in doing what I do. They're not speakers bureaus, they're agents. They're out there every day, and they're looking for people to hire me. So that has been just amazing, and I don't think I'd be where I am today without those agents. So I'm forever grateful to them. And then a lot of consulting work. So again, I knew that I wanted to start living my life again and not having 72 employees and 6 days a week, and people's, and the stress of a dealership. So I wanted to travel, I wanted to speak, I wanted to write a book, which the book behind me, other side, the book behind me, Crushing Mediocrity, I co-authored with my best friend, who's one of the top jet brokers in the world. And so, and just go out and live the life I want to live. And that's what I do. I traveled, I think, or by the end of this year, I think I'll have been on the road 3 weeks. But my husband travels with me a lot, and I'm it's just amazing. I get to go to amazing locations and stay at amazing places, and I'm just living the life that I want to live. And I like to encourage people to do the same thing. I think we only have one time around the sun, and I think we need to make the most of it.
That's awesome. So when you're out on the road and you're speaking, and thank you for sharing that with everybody, The when you're out and you're speaking, what level of people, like you're at all these different conferences, what level of people do you enjoy? Because you said twice or a couple times, you said, hey, I wanted my life back, right? So what does it look like? What does your schedule look like right now? I'm gonna shift gears there just a second.
Yeah. Okay. It's super busy, super busy. I decided that I was going to take the month of December off, which I'm like, if you're in the car business, could you ever do that? And then I got a call from my agents, and so I'm heading to New York next week. I'm speaking on Saturday at a major event, and then I'm going to do Fox News, I think Friday, in New York, Mornings with Maria, it looks like. And so, other than that, I'm home in the month of December, but I'm just busy. So what do I do? Up in the morning at 6:45, I have my show.
I see that.
Which is 15 Minutes of Fierce. So that's
Yeah.
every morning. So that's a good thing for me, because by the time I'm off the air at 7, I'm starting my day and I'm working. You know, I have about 15 dealer clients. I have a couple of manufacturers that I handle all of. I do data. We handle all their data and some tier 2 advertising for. So busy. But if at noon I want to break away for 2 hours and go see a friend, if I'm in town, and go have lunch, or today I was out on the trail, you know, doing my 6 miles at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I can do anything I want to do. So I start early in the morning, and that's what I tell people. If you want to get more done and work less, get up earlier in the morning, because your brain is the best, it's the most efficient, and you have the least distractions.
I agree with you 100% there, because I do an early morning show as well. And so when, you know, that early morning time, like for me, I still have three young kids. I have an 18-year-old and 2 young kids. but the 2 young kids, you know, normally I'm up even before them. What time do you normally get up? What time do you start your day? Because you said 6:45 you start your show. What time do you actually jump out of bed?
5 a.m. Yeah, so I spend 30 minutes of reading every single day. I'm working on, I write, because I have a book that we're working on finishing. I have a literary agent, and we're working on finalizing a publisher. And the name of the book is The Big Sell: From Idea to Impact. So I need to write and do edits and things like that.
Sure.
And then I do show prep, and I'm on the air at 6:45 a.m. Central Standard Time to 7. And then from 7 to about 8:30, I start answering emails, and, you know, depending on what my day looks like from there. If I have several dealerships here in town that I consult for, and I just do that really so that I can stay in the mix of the car dealerships. So a lot of times I'm over at the dealerships and doing that. So every day is a new day. That's what I love. Every day is a new day. And the other part is that if there's a project I'm working on that I don't love, I can finish it and never go back to it.
Yeah, that's probably one of the that has to give you just absolute.
You have no idea.
I don't know. Yeah, I can't even put a word on it. That's awesome.
I just finished one a couple of days ago, and I don't even know why I took it. I just did it, and you know, and it's one of those things. So that's another tip for your audience, is that if you take something on and you have that twinge in your gut when you start it, it'll be a stomach ache by the time you finish it. And that's where I was. And so this person wanted to renew, and I was like, no. It's just, no.
Liberating. That's the word. It's liberating for you.
No. Spending many years under bullies and things like that, I was like, I'm done. But thanks.
Yeah, it's interesting, because Frank Lopes had said that at one point. He had said, when you get that twinge in your stomach, like, you got to listen to it, either for good or for bad. He says, you get that twinge, you get it down here, you got to listen. So you had said a minute ago, I'm going to backtrack in time here for just a second. You said you're working with 15 different dealer clients. So
yes.
What is, from the automotive side of it, you've got at least 15, if not more. You have hundreds of people that you influence and are influencing you in your groups and so forth. Well, what would you say is the biggest challenge that is facing upper end leaders, specific to automotive, right now today?
People.
And why do you say that?
No, really. I mean, from an acquisition standpoint, a talent acquisition standpoint, that's to me the number one thing that dealers are struggling with right now is talent acquisition. So I'm working strategically with a couple strategic partners,
Hmm.
and I brought them into these dealerships to help acquire top talent. And that
Okay.
it's hard to do because nobody wants to work 6 days a week. Nobody dealer that wants to scream and yell and you know come downstairs and their demo's not filled. I mean, we had a dealer that he literally ran down the stairs screaming at a porter because his demo wasn't filled up, but the porter was out helping a salesman get a car delivered, right? And
Sure.
so it's just some of those shenanigans that this next generation's not going to accept. And so it's getting tougher and tougher to find quality people who want to work in a car dealership, and especially where I'm at in Austin, Texas, because
Yeah.
the competition is Google, Amazon, Facebook, and it isn't something that as an industry that we've done a very good job to make it look appealing to this next generation.
So what do you suggest? What do you tell people to do in consulting, or if there's something you haven't, or if there's something you're thinking of right now, what would you tell them? Look, here's the two or three things you need to do to go ahead and make it more appealing and attract top talent. What couple of things do you advise them to do to make it appealing?
Well, number one, we look at pay plans because what we
Okay.
know from the millennial generation and from females in the
Sure.
automotive industry is that security is a super big deal, and a pay plan that has security tied to it versus a larger income opportunity is much more attractive to this next generation and to women in particular. Number two is, what does your schedule look like? Nobody wants to work 6 days a week, bell to bell, every single weekend. And then what is the culture? And in that culture starts at the top. Mr. Dealer, Mrs. Dealer, are you a bully? Are you somebody who just has meltdowns on the showroom floor? I've known those types for years, and they're terrible people. They're terrible people to work for. And so, so those are three things we look at. We look at culture, we look at the pay plan, and we look at the scheduling. And then, and once you fix those three things, you can start hiring people. But I'll tell you, the pay plan and the schedule are absolutely critical if a dealership wants to bring in quality people, especially millennials and women.
Yeah, I think that's so you said culture, you said schedule, and what
And
was the
pay
third
plan.
one? Pay plan. Pay
Pay
plan.
plan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
certainly.
Yeah. I mean, most people just don't have any desire. I mean, they need stability in their lives. And I don't know about you, Mike. I mean, I think you've been in the business about 15 years. I mean,
Hmm.
I started in the business 34 years ago, and we worked on straight commission, and that's the way it was. But that isn't today. There are too many options for
Hmm.
people, and employment is sitting at an all-time low in our country. And so people don't have to go get a job selling cars anymore.
Right. They
You
don't. They don't
know,
have to go get a job doing anything anymore. I mean, there are
it's
so many options out there. Absolutely.
yeah. Yeah. So that being said, dealers who are stuck in their old ways and doing things like they did in 1990 something, it's not going to be easy to attract the talent of 2018.
That's, I think, real valid. Evolve or die, right? I mean, that's kind
Absolutely.
of where we're at.
And look
So
at the dinosaurs, right?
I'm gonna, as we're kind of winding down, we got a few minutes left here. You and I were talking beforehand as far as time, and unless you have something else to add, I'll keep going. My schedule's open this evening, but I know it's in the evening. I'm sometimes taking up people's time. So you had said a few minutes ago, you'd said, I'm doing what I really want to do. You knew you had this plan. So obviously, doing what you're doing now, you're very passionate about. You're fired up. It's like the Energizer Bunny. I know how it is too. Like doing this program for me. That's why I say I can keep going. It's fun.
Yeah.
So being that passion is certainly the doorway to success.
Hmm.
What would you advise some of these people that are coming up in that next generation that are struggling to find their passion? Like I said, I have an 18-year-old son, and he's like, man, I don't know and maybe not 18. I know when I was 18, I didn't know either. But if they're trying to find, look, here's what I'm passionate about. Here's the path. Here's the direction that I'm headed. how would you advise this up and coming generation of leaders to find and seek their passion?
I think it starts with finding what you love to do and doing it with people you love to do it with. I love to sell, and I do it naturally. People are always like, God, you're trying to sell me. And I'm like, no, I'm just talking to you. It's like what I do because I get so wound up about things that I love. Right. And so I think you absolutely have to be able to like what you do. You'll be proud of what you're selling, what your product or your service is. And then number two, if you're going to spend 8 to 10 to 12 hours a day with people, you better make sure you like the people you're doing it with, and make sure that that they align with your values and who you are as a person. And because I think that's critical, because we spend more time awake, in our waking hours at work than we do in our awake hours with our families. So, you need to find a company or an organization that really feels like, and I talk about feelings a lot, but feels like extended family. Because if you're not happy, you're not going to be productive, and that doesn't do you any good, and it doesn't do the company any good.
Right. So I'm going to close out. I have 2 last questions for you, if I may. First one is, what are some resources, because you're constantly going and growing, Lisa? What are some resources? Oh, I may have lost Lisa here. Hold on, everybody. Hang with me for a minute. Hang with me for a minute. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to see if in a moment I get Lisa back, because we're coming right on the tail end. I'm going to pose the 2 questions that I have for Lisa to the rest of the audience out there, just so we can kind of wrap this here this evening. The one is, as a leader, and I'll have Lisa answer this in the sidebar. I unfortunately I lost her here at the end. I'll get her reconnected maybe in a minute and add this. But what are some resources that you would recommend to someone looking to gain insight into becoming a better leader? And for the people that are out there watching, people that are in management and leadership, what are some resources you might recommend to people watching this show so that they can grow and become a better leader? That would be one. And then secondly, as an individual, as somebody who is a leader, what are you doing to ensure that you continue to grow as a leader, as somebody in business, that you are continuing to be somebody that other people will follow? So I would encourage you. I love Lisa Copeland too. I've got Melissa in the sidebar. She says, "Man, I love Lisa Copeland." Absolutely, I also love Lisa Copeland. So I'm going to send her a quick message here. Can you get in? There we go. That way, and we'll see if she can reconnect. So anyway, as we're coming to a tail end, if Lisa pops back in here, then what we'll do is I will ask her those 2 questions. If we're unable to connect, I will close out on those 2 questions. That's, what are some resources you'd recommend to someone looking to gain insight into becoming a better leader? And then also, what are you doing to ensure that you grow as a leader yourself? So for everybody that took the time to tune in and join with me today, I sure appreciate it. Thank you so much. I am going to go ahead and wrap it here. And if I can reconnect with Lisa, I will splice those 2 and then I will add it, and you'll never know. So thanks everybody for tuning in and connecting. Looks like I just talked to Lisa. Her internet's down on her device there. So here's what I'd encourage you. If you're wanting to get motivated, you're wanting to increase your influence, you're wanting to level up as a leader, subscribe to the channel. Check out Lead the Team TV, leadtheteam.tv, because I would love for nothing more than for you to be connected and participate in these live shows, participate in the conversation, and level yourself up and level yourself or the people around you up. So thank you so much for taking the time to tune in and join me today. And I will tell you what, until we speak next, I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day. We'll talk to you soon, everybody.